Usually when we start one of these deep dives, I like to ease us in a bit, set the stage, maybe some historical context.
Little preamble.
Exactly. But today, well, today feels different. I think we just have to start with the date. It's February 15, 2026.
And that's a date that, if the sources we're looking at today are right, is going to be in bold in future history books.
Which is so strange because if you look outside right now, it feels completely normal, frighteningly normal. The traffic is awful. My coffee was still way overpriced. But according to this primary document we have, the hacking of the source code, we are living through something it calls gravitational compression.
It's a really disorienting idea, isn't it? The course compares it to escape velocity.
Right, from physics, the speed you need to, break free of a planet's gravity.
Exactly. But for history. It's the moment when technological progress just detaches from our ability to process it. History stops happening in decades. It starts happening in weeks.
And while we've all been busy with our normal lives, two huge things just happened behind closed doors, one in Washington, D.C. and one in Silicon Valley.
And the entire premise of our deep dive today is that these two events together mean we have just crossed the biological singularity.
That's the core of it. We're looking at a convergence of two massive pillars.
Right. So on one hand, you have what they call forensic validation. Google DeepMind's AI has effectively decoded the operating system hiding inside our DNA.
And on the other,
regulatory permission. The FDA, of all agencies, has just authorized the first ever human trial for something called partial epigenetic reprogramming.
Okay, that sounds incredibly technical. It sounds like the start of a sci-fi movie, frankly.
It does.
But our mission today is to unpack why aging has just been reclassified. According to these documents, it's not a fact of life anymore. It's an engineering problem.
A software error, specifically.
And we're going to dig into this intervened hardware thesis, the idea that we're not just wearing out like old shoes. We are, by design, biologically locked.
And we just found the key.
So let's start in Washington. The FDA. I mean, when I think of the FDA, I think of bureaucracy, red tape, things moving incredibly slowly.
The Vatican of Western medicine, as one source calls it. They are risk-averse by design.
And yet,
earlier this month, they made a decision that basically kicks the door off its hinges. They authorized a company, Life Biosciences, to start human trials.
Right, for a very specific condition called NAION.
Yes, it's a stroke of the eye, causes sudden blindness, and until now, completely irreversible.
But why is this trial the big one? We test new drugs all the time, especially for eye conditions.
It's about how they're treating it. This isn't a drug to, say, lower inflammation or preserve what's left. This is a therapy designed to reprogram the cells.
Reprogram. That's such a heavy word to use in medicine. It's like the body's computer that just needs a reboot.
And that's exactly why this marks the official end of what we could call Medicine 2.0.
Okay, so define that for us. Medicine 2.0.
It's the wear and tear model. It sees the body as a machine, a car. Parts rust, gears grind down, the engine eventually fails. Medicine 2.0 is reactive. It just puts duct tape on the cracks.
And Medicine 3.0?
It's based on the information theory of aging, and the best way to get it is the scratched CD analogy.
Oh, I love this one. Okay, so for anyone old enough to remember CDs, you have the disc with the music burned on it. That's our DNA.
Precisely. The music, the digital code on that disc, it never fades. It's digital. But over time, the surface of the CD, it gets scratched up. That's the epigenome.
The chemical layer on top of the DNA that controls things?
Right, and those scratches are noise. Stress, UV rays, a bad diet, just living. Eventually, the laser, the cell's reading mechanism, can't read the music anymore.
Not because the song is gone.
No. But because the surface is too corrupted, the cell forgets how to play the song. It gets confused, loses its identity.
Becomes a zombie cell.
A senescent cell, exactly. And what the FDA just approved isn't more duct tape. It's a polishing kit. A therapy that buffs out the scratches so the laser can read the original music again.
So the FDA has, on the record, legally admitted that human tissue can be restored to a previous version.
Yes. They've effectively said old age is a glitch. It's a read error.
That is just a wild thought.
It's a huge conceptual shift. Because if you can clean the disc, you don't just stop aging. You can reverse the arrow of time, at least locally in those cells. You reset the eye to a time before the damage.
Okay, so that's the regulatory side, the permission slip, but you still need the map. And that brings us to Silicon Valley, to Google DeepMind.
Right. DeepMind just released a new AI architecture called AlphaGenome. And to really get why this matters, we have to talk about a huge, huge embarrassment in biology for the last 20 years.
This is the junk DNA thing, isn't it? I remember learning about this and just thinking, that can't be right.
It felt so wrong. So the Human Genome Project finishes in 2003, and they find that only about 2% of our DNA actually codes for proteins. You know, the stuff you're made of.
And the other 98%.
They called it junk DNA.
Junk. They literally labeled 98% of our genetic code as trash.
The arrogance is stunning, really. They figured it was just evolutionary debris, broken viruses, scribbles in the margins. But AlphaGenome just proved it's not junk at all.
It's the operating system.
It's the OS. The source uses this great analogy of a Boeing 747.
Yeah, lay that out.
Okay, so the genes, that 2%, those are the physical parts. The wings, the landing gear, the seats. If you just have a pile of parts, you have a scrap heap, not a plane.
You need the cockpit.
You need the cockpit, the switches, the levers, the logic that tells the landing gear when to deploy. That 98%, the so-called junk, is the cockpit.
So for 2 decades, we've been staring at the wings, totally ignoring the pilot.
We knew the syntax, the letters, but not the semantics, the language. DeepMind found this junk is full of logical commands, things called promoters, which are on-off switches, and enhancers, which are like volume knobs.
And the craziest part, the AI found actual computer logic, right?
And then
statements.
That's the breakthrough.
Yeah.
If oxidative stress is high, then activate repair gene. That's not structure, that's software. I mean, think about this. A grain of rice has more genes than a human.
Wait, what? No. Really?
In terms of the raw parts list, yeah. But a human is infinitely more complex. Why? Because of the software. That complexity is all in the 98%.
We're walking software.
We are.
Okay, so we have the permission from the FDA and now the map from Google, which leads to the most controversial part of these sources, this idea of intervened hardware.
It does sound a little conspiratorial, I'll grant you.
Yeah.
But it's grounded in biology. The thesis is that human regeneration isn't just absent. It's that it's actively blocked.
Like a computer in kiosk mode. You can't get to the settings.
That's a perfect analogy. You own the phone, but you don't have root access. You can't change the core code. Our bodies are the same. And DeepMind's analysis found the physical mechanism for the block.
Which is?
It's a chemical process called methylation.
Okay, let's unpack that. What does methylation look like in this context?
Imagine DNA is a vast library. All the books are on the shelves. The book on how to regenerate a liver, how to fix a heart. They're all there. But methylation is like someone came through and just put a glob of cement on the books.
A padlock, so you can't open the book you need.
Exactly. These methyl groups physically stick to the gene switches, the promoters, and block them from being read. And here's the kicker. The AI confirmed this isn't random. It's not just wear and tear. It follows a very specific pattern, a program designed to silence our repair systems as we get older.
That sounds intentional. Why would evolution do that? It seems counterproductive to survival.
It's counterproductive for the individual, but it's great for the species. From evolution's perspective, once you've reproduced, you're expendable.
Yeah.
A drain on resources.
So this is engineered obsolescence.
It is. It ensures the old generation makes way for the new.
Thanks for the kids. Now please exit the stage. That's grim. But if it's just a chemical lock, if it's just cement on a book, we can chip it off.
And that's where we get to the key. We have to talk about Shinya Yamanaka.
The grandfather of all this.
Back in 2006, he discovered 4 specific genes, now called Yamanaka factors, that could turn an old skin cell all the way back into a stem cell. Nobel Prize-winning stuff. OSKM.
But there was a huge problem.
A very big, very scary catch. The 4th horseman, a gene called c-Myc, is an oncogene. It causes cancer. And the original recipe completely wiped the cell's identity. It turned a mouse's liver into, well, embryonic mush.
Not exactly a great sales pitch. We can make you young, but you might dissolve.
Right. So for almost 20 years, that's where we were stuck. Until now. Until 2026. This new method is called partial reprogramming.
Okay.
Labs like Eltos and Retre, they figured out if you take out the psychopath gene t-Myc and just use the other 3, OSK, something incredible happens.
It cleans the noise without erasing the hard drive.
That's it exactly. It's like the Velázquez painting metaphor from the source.
Yeah.
You have a masterpiece covered in centuries of soot and grime. That's the methylation. OSK is the solvent. It just cleans off the soot. It reveals the painting underneath. It doesn't paint over it.
The cell remembers it's a liver cell.
Yeah.
It just functions like a young liver cell.
And this leads to what is, for me, the most mind-blowing part of this whole thing. The backup.
The system restore point.
Yes. Every single one of your cells, no matter how old or damaged, contains a pristine, digital backup of its youthful state.
That feels like it should be impossible. It defies entropy.
It does. The OSK factors, they don't build anything new. They just issue a command, access the backup, restore to factory settings. The blueprint is already inside you. We just never had the password.
Incredible. But I keep coming back to the timing. Why now? February 2026. Why not 5 years ago or 5 years from now?
Because biology has finally merged with the silicon. We've moved from in vivo testing in animals to in silico.
In computer simulation.
This is Jensen Huang at NVIDIA, Demis Hassabis at DeepMind. They've put biology on a GPU. Before, you'd test a theory on a mouse and wait 2 years to see if it died. Science moved at the speed of death.
And now?
Now you build a biodigital twin. You simulate the cell, atom by atom. You can run billions of chemical combinations on a server in a second. You can simulate Darwinian evolution in an afternoon.
So they've collapsed time. The waiting period between what if and here's the answer has just dropped to 0.
That's the gravitational compression. We're making discoveries faster than we can culturally process them.
Which brings us to the so what? The sociological part. Because if this is real, society is about to split in two. The source calls it the Great Bifurcation.
And this is where it stops being about science and starts being about mindset. The source divides people into Group A and Group B.
Group A, the heirs of obsolescence.
That's 99% of people. They're still running the old software. The body's a car, it wears out, you wait for symptoms, you accept aging. They're guest users in their own biology.
And Group B?
The code operators. They understand recoverable information. Health for them isn't just not being sick, it's about having root access. They see the code is open, and they feel a responsibility to manage it.
It's not about wealth, is it? It's about a choice. Do you accept the default settings, or do you try to log in as administrator?
And that's a heavy choice. The source says science gave us the how. It gave us the Ferrari, but it didn't give us the why. We now have the instruction manual, but we have to decide where to drive.
It reframes everything. Suddenly bad genetics or bad luck, those are just debuggable errors. We lose our excuses. If you get sick, it's not fate anymore. It could be seen as a failure of management.
It turns the human condition from a tragedy into a project, a continuous, lifelong project. And for many people, that's a terrifying kind of freedom.
So as we wrap this up, the provocative thought we're left with is the barrier isn't technical anymore.
No. The science is here. The regulatory approval is happening. The only real barrier left is psychological.
It's that image of the Ferrari. The engine is running. The door is wide open. We've been handed the keys. The OSK factors, the epigenetic maps.
But you have to actually choose to get in and drive.
And, to quote the source one last time, history has finished writing itself. From this line on, the keyboard is yours.
It's both a terrifying and an exciting thought to end on.
It is. We'll leave you with that. If you want to go deeper, check out the source material for yourself. It is heavy, but it is worth it. Until next time.